They didn't lower their voices when she said it. We were standing near the break room, paper cups sweating onto the counter, the hum of the vending machine filling the gaps between conversations. Someone had brought donuts. Someone else was talking about a deadline. And then she said, "I want a divorce," like she was announcing a change in schedule. A few heads turned, a few didn't. I felt the words land, not like a blow, but like a hand letting go. Her coworker was leaning against the cabinet behind her, arms folded, wearing that look people get when they think they've already won something. It wasn't exaggerated, just a small smirk, practiced, almost bored. He didn't look at me directly. He didn't need to. I noticed it the way you notice a stain on your shirt too late to do anything about. It, briefly, clinically. Something in me stepped back. I didn't argue. I didn't ask why. There was a version of me, not that long ago, who would have tried to save face, who would have felt the pressure to perform hurt in the right way. That version didn't show up. I said, "Good, she's all yours, along with her debts." The room went quiet in a way that felt structural, like someone had turned off the air system. I wasn't trying to be sharp. The words came out level, almost courteous. That surprised me more than anyone else. Her coworker straightened. Not dramatically, just enough to suggest recalculation. My wife stared at me, searching for the anger she'd prepared herself to respond to. There wasn't any. I picked up my cup, took a sip I didn't want, and walked out. Not fast, not slow, just done with the moment. Later, alone in my car, I waited for the delayed reaction people always talk about. The shaking hands, the regret, the urge to take something back. Instead, I felt light. Not happy, light. Like a shelf had finally been cleared of something. Heavy no one remembered putting there. For years, I'd been the one smoothing things over, covering gaps, explaining delays, paying the minimums quietly and then the rest when no one was looking. We never called it imbalance. We called it partnership. But partnership shouldn't feel like carrying a second life on your back. The next shift came 2 days later, and it wasn't emotional. It was procedural. HR called me in, not because of drama, but because of policy. Workplace relationships, conflicts of interest, disclosure requirements. They were calm, professional, and very thorough. My wife was called in separately. So was her coworker. The room they put us in had glass walls and a table that was too clean. A mediator joined, then someone from legal. Papers were printed. Dates were confirmed. Numbers were read out loud. That's when the smirk disappeared. Joint credit cards, a personal loan taken, out in my name but used for shared expenses. A car note I'd co-signed because it made things easier at the time. Deferred payments, accrued balances, obligations that didn't vanish just because feelings had changed. I didn't gloat. There was no speech. I answered questions when they were directed at me and stayed silent when they weren't. Silence, I was learning, carries its own authority when you don't rush to fill it. Her coworker shifted in his chair, asked a few questions that revealed how little he'd understood about what, along with her, debts actually meant. The mediator explained, patiently, that financial responsibility isn't symbolic. It transfers only when someone agrees to carry it. That agreement wasn't automatic. When it was over, there was no dramatic exit, just a series of next steps and a quiet acknowledgement that things would proceed differently now. I went back to my desk, finished my work, left on time. That night in my apartment, temporary, sparsely furnished, neutral in every way, I sat on the floor and opened a folder I'd been avoiding. Statements, notices, documents I'd once treated as background noise. For the first time, they felt finite. I wasn't proud. I wasn't vindicated. I was sober in the best sense of the word. Clear-eyed, a little sad, yes, but no longer confused about why. Some losses don't hurt because they happen loudly. They hurt because they end quietly without asking for permission. Weeks later, I heard through someone else that the coworker had transferred departments, that things were complicated. I didn't ask for details. Complexity was no longer my responsibility. What stayed with me wasn't the public moment or even the paperwork. It was the realization that dignity doesn't always look like strength in motion. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like letting consequences speak in a voice calmer than anger ever could. I'm not fixed. I don't trust easily yet. I still catch myself reaching to carry things that aren't mine. But when I think back to that break room, to the donuts and the hum and the smirk that expected me to collapse into something predictable, I feel something close to gratitude. Not for what happened, for what finally stopped happening.